Yes, thank you.
The stage is all
thank
yours.
you, Bhavna, and thank you. What a lovely panel before us. Really enjoyed it. And now some serious stuff. Of course, that was serious too. I don't mean that. Siddharth, before you react. um, some serious. I mean, we have people here who have the global appeal in terms of the IPs they own, in terms of their the positions they hold. So a right forum to discuss, how can India become the next big hub of global events? Earlier in the day, Mr. Garg spoke about, and he shared numbers about where we stand and the promise we hold as a country, as an industry. But somewhere we still have a long way to go. That was the point that he made. So I want to start quickly and dive into this panel with you, Mr. Kundu. Start with you. What is stopping India? Of course, we are on our way. I don't deny that. But what is coming in between when we want to see India on the global map of events? See, recently, for example, Saudi has taken a leap, if you see. Saudi, Turkey has been there. I mean, things are changing, but what is stopping India from taking that big leap, which is noticeable?
See, Rohel, we have to understand the basic factor behind what we are doing in India. Let's go to the leadership level. So let's understand the background. Today, I'm not being political here, but look at our leadership in the country. They are showing the world a different India. We are scaling up events in such big ways. Whatever you're doing in Ayodhya or in Gujarat or at the the Trump event we did, we are showcasing India because the leadership wants to showcase India. I also was at the G20 summit meeting recently, and then when one of the ministers said that, look, we don't want to show ports because we're not ready for the ports as yet, but we want to showcase luxury of India, let people spend more dollars in India. In my company, when I took EBIX out of India into the ASEAN region, I always say that we have to think at the regional level, not at the country level. The problem right now is, for example, Samit presented a data today, very encouraging data about India, that MICE is 36,000 crores and this is 30. I would have done, or I would say, to think global, we have to first develop global metrics amongst ourselves. And we have to understand the spectrum that when India, when the world starts planning, they start planning at the regional level. Dubai plans at regional level. They don't plan just at Dubai level. Singapore plans at regional level. What stops us? So it's not only bringing events to India and showcasing India, but Indian companies need to move overseas, set up shop, export professional management talent that we have in India, which we've already developed in India. The problem right now is that we are competing amongst ourselves in a very small micro market. We are not macro. So we have to learn from our leadership of the country that they are going global. They are saying, come and make in India and we'll help you distribute global. So I'm saying, let's not even think at global level. The first is, are we now present in ASEAN region? Like what Sabbas has done is exemplary. The way they built intellectual properties and took them global and also got them to India. My suggestion is that all of us, the first and foremost thing is our thinking has to be at the regional level. Then when we develop metrics and spreadsheets within our companies, within our industry bodies, it has to be regional. We have to first conquer ASEAN. So I would want to say that, okay, all you guys who are running your companies, set up shops in Dubai, Philippines, Indonesia, they're virgin markets. Today, you are fighting for a small pie here at a very minuscule margin. You go there and start working on the events business. You will see humongous success because I tasted that success in travel in Philippines and Indonesia, in Singapore, Saudi and Malaysia. So thinking has to change from India level to the regional level and then to the global level. Because we have to also follow the leadership. So in our own domains, how can a Glenmark set up a factory in America and a Mahindra set up a factory in India, or a Cipla set up its factories globally? Why can't we set up shops globally? And that is when we will actually arrive at the global level. Thank you.
Right. Sabbas sir, I mean, if you count the Indian IPs that are global, you will, I mean, just count them on your finger, like, it's just rarely maybe not even 10 or 12, such big IPs? Of course, you're the one, you have the one, that's globally known. What makes also the sheer size of a country makes it inward looking. I think that's one of the reasons we haven't looked outside. Some people say that. How far do you agree with that being a block to our global appeal, Because we have the size, we have the scale, and we were more inward looking than outward looking.
To be honest, one of the big questions you ask yourself, should India be global? Should we be global? I ask myself about all of us saying, are we ready to be global? And most often my answer would be no. We don't have the attitude right. We don't have the manpower right. We don't have the technology right. And we don't have the financial resources to sustain it to where it requires to go. And that's an honest answer. Okay? Can everyone think of being global? Yes. But can we think of being global in the form that we operate in today? No. We require to transform, we require to change, we require to learn from each other, collaborate, and probably function almost like a consortium. Don't try to go global individually. Go global as a group. And then you'll find answers, you'll find solutions, and you'll find the resources to be able to achieve and succeed. And more than anything else, when you go as a group, you will have the leadership team to be able to lead it beyond yourself. That's my only submission.
Yeah, very profound. I think you've taken the steam out of the topic, when you said that, is it important to go global at all, First of all, are we ready? What I mean to say, are we ready?
Let me tell you, it's very rich to go global. Because earning in dollars is a lot better than earning in rupees. Do you agree? Yeah. So that's a big boon. And especially with the way the dollar is going and the rupee is going, that difference is colossal. But having said that, in trying to go global and earn in dollars, don't lose the rupee.
Right. Mr. Sanyal, do you think this tagline of global is also a burden in a way, and second, what is your idea of India becoming an appealing, a spot for all the top events in India?
I think you said it right. The problem is that both what Sabbas said and what you said, Mr. Kundu, is that the topic is, can India be a global hub? Not whether we can take events outside. Of course we can. We've been doing it for ages. I mean, Sabbas has successfully done it with IFA for years and years and years, and he'd like you to believe that he earns a lot less money than he actually does. But that being said, the truth of the matter is that India has, to Sabbas's point, a lot of issues of being Indian. Globally, events work because tickets are sold. Globally, events work because sponsorship is a real thing. Globally, events work, and I'm talking about India being a hub for 1 minute, not about us going anywhere. And I'm also, before my almost 12 years at Universal, I spent the earlier 15 or 20, whatever the hell, in this business, which is why all of these senior citizens are my friends. I'm one of the co-founders of Sunburn and so on and so forth, both. So I've been on that side of building global events for India, for the world. We did something called EVC for many years in Universal. The truth of the matter is that people don't like buying tickets. My good friend Ashish Embrajani announced the Lola lineup literally a week ago. Now, Lollapalooza is it's exactly the example that you want. Can India be a global hub for events? Lollapalooza is one of those great global festivals like Tomorrowland and Mysteryland and whatever else have you, that's happening in India. It takes big balls to host something of that side. Big monies, huge monies. It'll be a while before that money is being made. I shit you not, that post went live at sometime in the morning. Within 5 minutes, I had 15 WhatsApp messages and 200 messages on Instagram saying, boss, Lola aa raha hai, free ticket to milega. Your first response is not, oh my God, what a great lineup. Your first response is, will I get a free ticket? So contrary to public opinion, I stood up and I said on all my posts, and I have a fairly engaged following. To Siddharth's point, I have only whatever 250,000 followers, but very, very engaged. And I said, simply, fuck off, buy your tickets, don't get a freebie. Simply, that's what you have to do. If you want India to be a global hub for events, the first thing you have to do is get people to spend money and have enough respect to buy tickets. Because without tickets, this shit doesn't work. And we have the same problem in the music business. Everyone wants music for free. You have no problem spending $129 for a Starbucks coffee every morning. But 100 rupees dene mein for a whole month to get hundreds of millions of songs free, boss, it's a problem. Must go to free apps, take the thing of putting in an email, shifting to another app, coming back. We're cheapskates. That's the problem. Right? So that's problem number one. Without ticketing money, events and being global hub of events is and Sabbas is the expert on this, Samit is an expert on this, he'll tell you. Every time we've had these conversations, and we are privileged to be in part of many conversations globally, tickets is a real thing. Money is a real thing. People actually sell 100,000 tickets for a conference. People sell 80,000 tickets in a tour that's doing within your own neighborhood. Between a show in New Jersey and a show at New York, big artists are selling 80,000 tickets. And these tickets are 80 euros each. They're not cheap. $80 each. They're not cheap. So if that mentality changes, the way we view sponsorship, right? I've raised a lot of sponsorship money in my past across the Sunburns and the EVCs and whatever else have you. Our whole approach to sponsorship is shit. Sponsors themselves, the way they want to engage with your events is very, very myopic of what they want to sort of get away. So unless these core things are fixed, it's unlikely that the big boys outside are going to be terribly thrilled and terribly excited to come here. We as a country have to change. If you look at leadership, if you look at everywhere, try and get a visa. Try being an artist from the UK coming to India right now. I have many of these. Right, the big guys in Lola, by the way, are Imagine Dragons. It's a universal artist globally. Their big fear is that, boss, is health okay? Is all going to be clean? Will I get shot? Will I get mobbed? And we've only done it. हम ही किए हैं. Metallica का शो था 10 साल पहले. हमारे ही बंदे इसी देश में, इसी सिटी में जाके मॉनिटर्स तोड़ दिए स्टेज पे. क्यों? Because शो F1 का रेस था, थोड़ा लेट हो गया. Fucking Metallica, bro, world's biggest band. You don't go and break a monitor and a screen on stage. So we've done these things systematically to make us look bad. I'm sorry for saying it publicly, but it's the truth. So if you want to change it, we need to take each and every singular problem that we have. So for shit like this, you do good PR. Because for every bad gig, there is a great Sabbas gig. There's a great Samit gig. There's a great Fountainhead gig. So there's also good with the bad. But we don't talk about the good as much as we shit on the bad. So if you get ticketing right, you get sponsorship structures right, and we have a little bit of governmental love, partnership, together. I mean, music tourism. I run arguably the largest music business in the world, India and whatever, South Asia operations. We said music tourism 20 years ago. That's what Sunburn was supposed to be. Come to Goa, not for sunburn, come to Goa for a holiday, come for the sun, come for the booze, come for the women, come for the partying, come for your family, and then also you have great music, right? Somewhere along the way, instantly in the first year, it was about the music and the drugs, and the tourism left the conversation. Now these are areas where people like Mr. Garg, respected old Mr. Garg, will have to sort and work with the government to say that the agenda is laid right. No, they call me here for saying all the right shit. FII, I know you're looking at me weirdly. But if you don't do these things very quickly, and this is 2022, post-pandemic, there's a lot of money in the market. People are going crazy right now. If we don't correct it now, the next 10 years are going to be not how exciting you want them to be.
You had a very profound and candid, absolutely, you've shown us the mirror in a way, rightly so. But 2 points, Mr. Garg, that emerged out of till I came to this part is a lot of inward, rewiring needs to be done. A lot of course correction, attitudinal shifts are needed. That's why that's maybe stopping us. One, what is your take on that? Second, how do you envision India becoming the global hub of events?
See, as far as the first point is concerned, the question is concerned, yes, there is a lot of internal correction that is required, and which is what my whole first piece in the morning was all about. That the correction will happen with the change in the mindset, which is, I think, practically what everybody has spoken. Naveen said that we have to start thinking regional. We think ASEAN, fine. We don't think ASEAN. Let's at least start to think Indian subcontinent. Sabbas said a few things about our preparedness in terms of infrastructure, in terms of competence, in terms of talent, etc., etc. So all of that needs correction. Devraj essentially spoke of the live business. So yes, there is work that needs to be done all around, and all of this will happen if we start thinking in the right direction. We have to start thinking big. We have to start thinking rational. We need to come out of our small pigeonhole rooms. वो 1 रुपया 2 रुपया 10 रुपया छोड़ के 1000 2000 10,000 की बातें सोचनी पड़ेंगी. And I think all of that will happen because, or is happening. But let's also understand that our industry is still fairly new. We are about 20, 30 years young. And a lot of change is coming about, will probably come about more drastically in the next 5 years, because many things are also enabled by the administration under which you are living and operating. So there is massive change happening at that administrative level, because that administrative level support also helps garner more confidence amongst entrepreneurs and individuals like that. So yes, that's the first part. Change needs to be seen, but it is only us sitting in this room who will eventually be responsible to bring about that change. हम जाके किसी और से बोलेंगे, कोई और नहीं करने वाला है. सबको थोड़ा थोड़ा खुद करना पड़ेगा, तब वो बड़ा दिखेगा. And the second part about India becoming global, I think the last 1 year or 15 months specifically have been very, very dramatic. There is a lot of brand India that you've started to see, especially after COVID. Now, India is a proud host to the G20. India is again hosting the World Cup hockey. The Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is coming back with a bang. India is also proudly hosting the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, which also is going to continue for 8 months. So there is a lot of brand India that you are able to see now at the global level. And all of these are steps in the right direction, because let's understand, every country doesn't have Bollywood, every country doesn't have a Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, which showcases a destination and all of a sudden you see a lot of people aspiring to go to that destination. It is confidence, especially when you're talking of serious business. Confidence is something which is very, very important. And you never get that confidence till the time you don't get a feeling that, yes, boss, the government of that nation is willing to support, is stepping in the right direction, and is proactive. And that's exactly what the Indian government is trying to do over the last 15, 18 months. This message does go out. आज की डेट में आपको क्या लगता है? We are hosting G20. The world is, probably going to be talking about it for 12 months. SCO, the world is going to be talking about India for 8 months. And all of this is the right messaging. Yes, which is what I said in the morning, that we are not prepared. But that doesn't mean that we're not capable. The journey has started, and we have to collectively walk that journey, where the government will handhold, all of us sitting here will handhold, and 2, 3, 4 years down the line, the conversation that we'll probably be doing sitting on this panel would be different.
I think it resonates with all of us here, and the panel in the room as well. You want to make a point, sir? Yeah?
I think the important word to capture is change. Okay? What we were and what we are going to be are completely different. We weren't a global hub. We weren't ready to be a global hub. We've set a barometer, we've set a target to be a global hub. If you see around the country, one thing that was lacking was infrastructure. You've got your Geo Convention Center that's come up there. You've got convention centers that have come up in Bangalore, in Hyderabad. You've got it in Kolkata. You have the Pragati Maidan coming up, the old Pragati Maidan coming up fresh in Delhi. You've got the one in Noida. suddenly infrastructure is being built up across the country. And I'm not just talking about ticketed events. I'm talking about being a global hub, go and get the exhibitions of the world here, get the trade shows of the world here, get the world global events over here. And that we can do. The confidence that the country has demonstrated and the leadership the country has demonstrated in going for G20 is huge. Because at the heart of it, the government knows that it is not ready. And still the government is ready to say that we will be ready. And if I tell you how much work is happening across the country, across cities, across different states and different venues, hotels, etc., it's like an entire industry, an entire country is getting ready to host the leaders of the world. And there's a lot that's happening. And those of us who've been part of these meetings, it gives you a lot of heart that our country is probably getting there. I was fortunate also to be part of many times when we sat for the Commonwealth Games. Now that was one world. When we were getting ready for the Commonwealth Games that were held in Delhi, it was different. We were getting ready, everything was getting out there, but as a country we weren't willing to really go the distance. The leadership was not ready to go that distance. Today, that leadership change, and I'm not talking politics, I'm not talking this prime minister versus that prime minister.
It is the intent.
There is an intent that has grown not just at the leadership at the top, but across the leadership, across states, across political parties, across bureaucracies, that now is our time, can we do it? It's now is our time, and that change that has come in, it's come from somewhere. Be it the pandemic, be it a sudden surge that's come in across the states. Look at the states competing for businesses. Look at the fights going on between states to attract corporates that are investing across the country. Now, if you look at all of that, if you look at the change that's coming in leadership, today our country welcomes great minds from across the world to come and work back in India. And they're looking at India again. So there is that change. And it's that change that we require to capture. I'll just hark back to 1996 when we did the Michael Jackson concert. We gave out more complimentary tickets than we sold. Okay? But the truth is this, that today, thanks to online ticketing and the technology that exists, I'm sure you sell more tickets than you give out as complimentaries. There's a reverse. Now that is a change, Devraj, even if it's not as much as we want, as much as what we need, but that is change. And if you look at it across all parameters, there is change. Even sponsorship is a lot more willing today. Sponsorship is a lot more willing, rather than just asking for my logo and my this and my that. They're willing to be engaging, to be activating stuff, etc., and to be able to work with partners. So there is change. It's not as fast as we would like it to be, and it'll never be. But you can see it on the horizon, and that
Don't say that, it will be.
Yeah.
It'll have to be. So I just want to just add one point to, and going back to Samit, I think, I've been in the music industry for a long time, and I spent a longer time in this part of the world. In the music industry, the one thing that I saw, and this is purely about the government, again, not being political, not taking any sides, government changes, truly, when there's actual intent. I've seen that when we did it with the author-composers. There was a huge, these gentlemen know it. It was called the IPRS fight a few years ago. ISRA, the performers fight, few of who are sitting here today. Massive. It took us years and years and years. But when we got together, not the government, when we got together, our own principles, the government was the greatest partner in support. So if you truly want to change and you have an intent which is inwards, you got to fix it internally first before you can expect anything out of the government. I promise you, this current government, for whatever it's worth, for all the good and the bad and the evil and the ugly, if you want to fix a problem, if you want to be a global hub of events, decide. And to Sabbas's point, not individually or 3 people or 4 people, everyone together, which is why you have bodies like EEMA. Everyone get together and decide, go to the government, they will support you, I can guarantee you.
And there's something that I want to add to this, it's actually an eye-opener. The last few years, the bureaucracy has started speaking a very, very different language. They have started saying that, boss, as government, And especially in tourism and culture, our job is to spend money, come up with ideas, come up with things which are unique, come up with things that help us brand our states, our destinations, and our country. We have the money to spend. So that is the shift in the approach that we're talking of, and which is why, and I think another case in point, a classic example is Universal having bought out a talent management company. They're getting into the live events business. I'm sure they're looking at brighter things to come in terms of ticket sales, otherwise that step wouldn't have been taken. So there is a lot happening, and I think we are moving in the right direction.
So, yeah, I think these are stories of change that are on ground, which many of us may not know, but this is so encouraging to kind of listen to. And a lot is happening on ground, which we will see maybe down the line, the results of that. But I want to shift quickly my next question. I want to also involve a couple of questions from the audience. Mr. Kundu, we cannot broad brush the entire IPs and say that a lot of homework is to be done. Some are at different stages of evolution, and some are really evolved and some are not. Are there any sectoral highlights when it comes to events that can currently kind of, hasten up the entire conversation that we are having on this India global thing?
You have to first understand, you take events global, right? You go to corporates, yes. You take events global.
And even to attract them.
Now
here.
Tell me, how much of work do we do to go and market ourselves globally and bring those events into India? None of us do that. Please understand, Sabbas talked about change and my friend spoke about India. No, India is changing. So I will not take your criticism about the people and people buying tickets. India is changing. India is definitely changing. India has changed. India will buy tickets. India will want shows. Bring about a good show in India and I'll underwrite your ticket sales. Whether I sell it or not is different, but I will underwrite your ticket sales because I have a platform to sell online. I'm offering it to you. You bring an event to India.
There's a business deal closed here, okay.
Yeah, so, no, so I'm saying, but I cannot have a criticism for my country. I cannot. Because if I have a criticism for my country, in my room, what will I do? What will I even think of going abroad and selling my events abroad when I don't have faith and trust in my own country and the ability of my country and its people? When he said that there is no talent available for India, no. I think we are exporting talent.
In his defense, that's not what he meant, but he's just like that.
So, and I am like that because I'm an India bull. So the question is that EEMA hosts these events, right? These conferences. Let's offer to take one event not very far. Let's go to ASEAN, let's go to Malaysia. Let's go to Indonesia, let's go to Philippines. It's a short haul. They will bring their events to India. They will host events in India. But we need to go out there and market, right? We are only stuck up in India. हमें वही activation करना है, हमें वही 4 corporates का काम करना है, हमें वही line item wise BOQ बना के उनको देना है. We have to evolve. We have to change. And we have to embrace change collectively. As his presentation said, collaborate to innovate. And collaborate means there has to be intent to collaborate. Not speaking on the forums and going back and getting busy on your work desk and starting to do your business and conducting your business. As torch bearers, that our companies are doing. As torch bearers, we need to meet more often, put an action plan together and execute the action plan. Let's talk reality. Let's talk reality. That we are capable, we are able, we are ready. We have to have the intent. And it is not very far that we will become a global. I mean, look at what this government has done in the last 8 years in India. Again, look what they brought to India. They might be criticized for spending insane amount of money on various events, but that's required. That is required. Because that will bring in the foreign moolah into this country, and that is what will sail us through. That is what will bring economically our fiscal deficit down and make us a rich economy. So we have to have that intent together. Government will come into your support, but पहले आप तो अपना काम कर लो. Lay your foundation for it. Thanks.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Sabbas sir, when I was talking about that various IPs are in their stages of evolution and some are very promising, which are the emerging sectors like, sports is one, for example, IPL is already there and we have the Bollywood already. Which are the other emerging sectors that could shift the focus?
I think the first things that you require to do is look at what works. Cricket works. Bollywood works, music works, sports works, and today, a pan-India cinema works. If you focus on these, from a cultural standpoint, all of them will work. But look at what technology is all about. Look at finance, look at fintech, look at health tech. There are so many other areas. I mean, I don't want us to focus just on the entertainment aspects or the sports aspects, etc. If you look across the business streams, there's strong opportunities in technology. We are world leaders in technology. We are world leaders in health technology. And the opportunities there are large. And when Naveen was talking about we require to go and pitch for conferences, I know there are hotels and there are convention centers working with some of the state governments, and we are helping them in that, to be able to pitch for some of the world's biggest conferences to come to India. And they won't come tomorrow. They'll come over a period of time because you require to go out there and plan your calendar and deliver it. And it will happen over a period of time, but at least I can say, at the present moment, the infrastructure is almost there, the attitude is there, and people are already beginning to work together between private sector, government, to be able to bring the world's best to India. So can India become that global hub? Yes, of course. I'll tell you, we are already on our way.
Sanyal, your thoughts on this? One is what the point you raised, you shown us the mirror earlier. In response to that, I just want to ask a quick question: that what is the solution to it? Because Mr. Kundu said no, people are actually going, they're buying, things have changed.
No, he's absolutely right. It's not a question of look. It's not a dig at the economy or the people. As a people, we just don't like buying enough. The question is, it's a quantitative versus qualitative question, right? When is the time when we can become almost there where buying tickets is the norm, is no longer a, "Arey yaar, pehle dekhte mila ki nahi," that it's reducing. There's no question. To Sabbas's point, earlier it was free, then ticketing, now it's flipping. Is it in a situation right now where in the next 6 months, 10 months, 12 months, 1 year, 2 years, it's going to change completely dramatically? Probably not, but it is on its way 100%. Mindset's changing. I think the one thing that's changing it dramatically is the technology. The fact that tech is here in the way that it's here. I mean, look at Book My Show, right? I mean, to the Lollapalooza example. They're selling out quickly. The numbers are high. They're expensive tickets. They're not cheap tickets, right? And so there is that natural intent to buy. So I think technology is a big part of how people are sort of shifting. The one thing I think none of us spoke about is, which again, directly related to technology, is gaming. Gaming is a huge, huge, huge part of, I mean, it is far larger than anyone gives it credit for. 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I was having a meeting with Vijay Nair outside NSCI, and we were sitting in one of these little containers and having a conversation, and I'm like, "Dude, what's going on in there?" He said, yeah, we're just doing some Intel gaming thing. I'm like, "What do you mean?" So he walked me in. It was NSCI, the dome had just come. It was packed to the gills with people sitting and gaming. It was some few thousand people, like 7,000-8,000 people actually doing a gaming competition 5 years ago, right? Now that is also becoming gigantic. And for things like that, people are already talking about big, fat, big world gaming championships, online, digital, being held here because we are known for our technology. Some of the biggest code for some of the biggest ones are being written here, right? So I think a lot of that's going to come very, very soon. Am I optimistic about this country? Absolutely. Because no one is going to benefit more by actually people going and buying and people such as yourselves helping than us. Because we've got the world's biggest artist waiting to come to our country, and the world's biggest, exhibitions and all is much more your world. But the belief and the mindset also has to change. This mindset is not mine. I am a bastion and a flag holder of Indian companies because I have been one for 20 years. But this is what the outside sees of us. And no matter how angsty you want to be as an Indian, I'm exactly as angsty. The problem is that what we need to change is the mindset of those people. I can sit here and hold my flag and wave it. No one gives a shit. We need to go and show them a color of our flag and say, look, we have a willing government, we have great intent internally, and we are going to do it. And we have the bloody, oh my God, we have the talent. We have some of the, I mean, it's unqualified how much talent we have. You know, we've got the Badshahs of the world, we've got the Arijit Singhs of the world, we've got, and I'm sure if you look at other industries as well, we've got, you know, we've got the Rahmans of the world, we've got everyone. I mean, look at us. We have now Grammys and Golden Globes and all of that shit in our own house. If not now, then when?
So I'm not sure whether you know, but next year, there's a consulting firm called Right Path working with one of the big fours, bringing in a huge gaming event into India. Next 9 months, it will be here.
It's going to be huge, I know that. I mean,
It's a very large gaming event happening in India.
The only, I think, hiccup there is the regulatory framework is still being defined and, you know, kind of put forth. But Mr. Garg, before I open up to the audience here, your picks for the sectoral highlights that could really be promising. Say weddings are, of course, again, an internal discourse. Can we take them out? How do we attract? I mean, what are the sectoral high points which we can look at as and call them as promising?
I think as far as inbound is concerned, the first in the list are going to be institutional events and followed by culture. So these are going to be the two driving points because what's happening in the cultural space, the kind of landmarks that the government is investing in creating is going to be visible 2023 December onwards, and which is going to be a big boost to all of these. You know, we go to England, people do an up-county kind of a tour. We go to a small jhopadi in Stratford-upon-Avon, and it is sold for £120 because that's where Shakespeare used to stay. So you talk of all of that, there is 20 times and 40 times more that's available in this country. And there is a lot of impetus, there is a lot of focus there. So that's one. And when I say institutional, I'm basically referring to government spending. So there is going to be a plethora of large format government-sponsored and institutionalized events that are going to be coming into India. So as far as inbound is concerned, that sectorally, I think, is going to be 1 and 2. Thereafter, it is probably going to be MICE, and that's where Naveen will probably be able to add more. Weddings, I'm not very sure whether inbound is going to see the light of the day for another 5 years, because if you look at the market as far as weddings are concerned, weddings are only big in 4 or 5 countries. So weddings are big in India, weddings are big in Russia, weddings are big in the Middle East, and to some extent some parts of Africa. That's about it. And they're not going to come to India to celebrate their weddings. The numbers are going to be very, very minuscule. So sectorally, institutional, cultural, and MICE is what I think we'll see a huge upsurge as far as inbound is concerned. And to add to what you were saying, you know, destination promotion bureaus will end up playing a very, very important role. And sadly, it happened, but I want to share that story. So for the new Pragati Maidan, for the new Dwarka Convention Center, and the Noida Expo Center that we already have, the Ministry of Commerce through ITPO created a body called the NDCEB, the New Delhi Conventions and Exhibitions Bureau. The primary responsibility of that organization was to go out and market Delhi and NCR as a destination. Unfortunately, it couldn't kickstart or kick off because just about when the whole initiative was translated into practice, COVID happened. And but the fact of the matter is that the government has woken up. So this body had 3 IAS officers from the Ministry of Commerce and had 7 people from the private sector. So there was somebody representing the events business, there was somebody representing logistics from R.E. Rogers, someone on the board representing hospitality, travel. So they've started thinking like that, where they got an organization like this in place, funded by the Ministry of Commerce to be able to propagate the whole cause.
So Samit, that has already happened now. Government has given 15 crore rupees of grant to India Convention Promotion Bureau.
ICPB.
ICPB. And on the sidelines of G20, India ICPB will be hosting a show of the scale of IMEX US.
Fantastic.
In India in April. And we are a panel member of that. We will be actually hosting a show. We're working on that. The framework is done, the budget is approved, and the plan is now in place. So ICPB on the sidelines of G20 will be doing a show as big as IMX in India in April. And government is spending 15 crores, have given 15 crores of grant for that, which has come directly from the PMO.
So that's what the future is all about.
Lovely. I think a lot of great points here, but I want to open up this forum to some questions. I'm taking the liberty of another 5 minutes. If there are any, please do. Yes, please do. Yes, yes, you can pose. We can hear you. Like a true, be like a true Delite. I mean, loud, clear Punjabi.
This question is for you, Sabbas. We have seen 12 years back, you did a game changer in the sporting industry. You did this, I assume 2010 was the CWG. And you changed the way events are looked up in the sporting industry. My question is just direct to you. Do you ever think, I mean, I've been hearing all of you talking about the G20 and how we are or we may not be ready for it, but will we ever be ready for the Olympics?
Yes. And I promise you, we'll be ready and will host the Olympics during your lifetime.
Between 2030 and 2040 is the answer.
The target date is 2036.
Any other question? All right, then I think a lot of points emerging out of this panel, right from stories of hope to the need to look inside, recorrect, rewire ourselves, to what a lot of invisible things happening which will sprout maybe in 6 to 1 year down the line. So, I mean, of course, in total, a lot of hope out there for the Indian event community. I want to thank my heavyweight, metaphorically, panelists for joining us today, and thank you so much for your time.